attraction, risk, deceit. Fireflies have it all. Hello everyone, I'm Aaron. Welcome back to my channel. What am I talking about? So glad you asked. Let's chat about fireflies. First off, some clarification. Fireflies, lightning bugs, glowworms. These are all names that are sometimes applied to a group of over 2,000 species of bioluminescent insects. But the thing is, these insects that we're talking about today, they're not flies. They're not bugs. They're not worms. So all the names are just sort of flat out wrong. I'm going to be using Firefly because it's the one I'm most familiar with, but they're all wrong. These insects are actually beetles, one of the many groups of beetles in the world. Like I said, over 2,000 species found all around the planet. Most of the adults produce light. All, interestingly, of the larvae produce light. Interesting. And when it comes to producing light, man, there is a lot going on. Like, wow. So these 2,000 different species, they have this problem. Individuals of each species want to mate with other individuals of the same species. So how do you identify each other, especially at night when it's dark? How do you do it? Well, fireflies have come up with a very creative way. One of several ways they have of identifying each other is specific light patterns. These can be specific pulsing patterns, flashing patterns, specific wavelengths, more yellowish, more greenish, that kind of thing. And so the males and the females can watch for specific patterns of light, specific characteristics of flashing light to know, that over there is a member of my species. Sometimes this is flashing done by males and the females are watching. Sometimes it's flashing done by females. The males are watching. Sometimes it's kind of a call and response where one will flash and the other flashes back and they kind of figure each other out. But then that's sort of the attraction part. But it's not all fun and games because some fireflies prey on other fireflies. And those predatory fireflies have figured out that a good way of attracting a prey firefly over is to mimic its species-specific pattern and characteristics of flashing. And so the predator will, say, pretend to be a female of a prey species firefly and will mimic the specific characteristics of its flashing patterns to lure in unsuspecting males. Risky. Now, those males have evolved to be very good at spotting kind of imperfections. Oftentimes, those predatory fireflies, they're good mimics, but they're not perfect. They make mistakes. And so the males or the prey firefly will really good at picking up on kind of inconsistencies, kind of little errors in their specific flashing pattern. And so as they approach, if they notice one of these errors, they'll leave immediately. Sorry, there are mosquitoes around quite a bit. They'll leave though. They'll figure out that this is not a genuine member of their own species, that something weird is going on, and they will get out of there. But this opens the door for some deceit, because some prey fireflies have figured out that if they make little errors in their species-specific signaling sometimes, then other competitors flying in, we'll see those airs, we'll think, predator, and leave. Which means that if that individual is actually not a predator, it has more access to, say, female fireflies of their own species, because all the other males that they might be competing with are running away as fast as they can because they think there's a predator going on here. Very deceitful, very tricky. Amazing levels of complexity going on in this form of animal communication. And that's what we're talking about. These animals are sending signals. Sometimes those signals are, hey, I'm a member of the species, I'm looking for a mate. Sometimes those signals are involve some risk. I'm a predator and I'm trying to lure you in. Sometimes those signals are, I'm not a predator, but I want you to think that I am so that you run away and don't compete with me. And those signals are being received and decoded by the other fireflies around. And the accuracy of that decoding has a big impact on their reproductive success, on their behavior, on what they do. Do they come towards this individual and try to mate with it? Do they run away as fast as they possibly can? Etc., etc. Now, there are some other things that fireflies do to kind of make their lives a little bit simpler. There's a lot of very specific sort of habitat niche specialization that goes on. Some fireflies will only flash when they're on the ground. Some of them will only flash sort of in the low areas, maybe just a few inches to feet above the ground. Some of them are higher in the canopy. Some of them have very specific habitat requirements, like under conifer trees or under hardwood trees or in like the edges of clearings, that kind of thing. So they can kind of tell each other who they are and what is going on in other ways beyond flashing. They also have pheromones, which are chemicals that these fireflies can release that other fireflies can sense, that also, again, it helps sort of reinforce the signal that they're sending with their flashing. But just with the flashing alone, there's just so much going on, so much evolution and sort of counter-evolution, evolutionary arms races going on. It's really amazing. They're beautiful animals and they are fascinating. It is just wonderful to be able to wander around the woods of Maine, where I am right now, see these things and just sort of understand and watch what's going on. So cool. So next time that you go out and you see a firefly or a glowworm or a lightning bug, know that it's actually none of those groups of animals. They're beetles. And I hope that you appreciate the subtlety and nuance and complexity of that animal communication that you're watching. Thank you very much for the view. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. And until next time, enjoy the natural world.